Well, Roop, earlier this week, you might remember Detroit Police Chief Todd Bettison. He called for the firing of both a sergeant and an officer for calling Border Patrol during two separate traffic stops the last couple of months. And we did just learn tonight that both the sergeant and officer have been suspended without pay for 30 days. Chief Todd Bettison made the ask this week, and the Police Board of Commissioners voted to suspend Sergeant Denise Wallet without pay for 30 days. The same fate for an officer. In Sergeant Wallet's case, she was called to the scene to handle a language barrier with a person in question. Then, according to Bettison, she called Border Patrol for translation help. Border Patrol responded and detained the person. It says right here in DPD's policy, you can't do that.
At no point in time did she contact them for translation purposes. Absolutely no policy was violated whatsoever.
Her attorney, Solomon Radner, says a separate officer there was handling translation. Sergeant Wallet called Border Patrol to help identify the person after a fingerprint scanner didn't work.
And at some point, she called her lieutenant and said, "What do I do? We can't identify this man. What do I do?" And the lieutenant, knowing the policy and following the policy, told her, "Call Border Patrol."
Attorney Radner says it's not against policy to call Border Patrol to help identify people. Former Detroit Police Chief Ralph Godby talking historical context of DPD Border Patrol relations.
It is not routine for Detroit police officers to call Border Patrol to make identification of any individual.
A federal lawsuit against DPD is in the works, claiming the sergeant's due process was violated, and her union will undoubtedly fight it too.
But if you just look at that policy violation alone, I don't see an arbitrator in the state of Michigan that would uphold a termination. So that's a bit performative, and I think it's disingenuous, and I don't think that's the chief's intent.
Let's talk a little bit about the officer that was suspended for 30 days. This apparently goes back to a stop back in December. He was investigating a felony warrant, apparently suspected the person in question to be undocumented. That's when he called Border Patrol. They arrived and detained that person. Now, Detroit police saying that during this suspension, both the sergeant and officer are allowed to keep their medical benefits. But remember, firing is not out of the question yet. Reporting live in the newsroom, Jessica Dupnack, Fox.